interest in this that goes back to my tenure in the state legislature when I authored the hands-free cell phone legislation that is now law, and the no texting legislation that is now law, and the no mobile service devices for drivers under the age of 18, which is also now law. And what we discovered is, as we had hoped, that the impact can be great if the law is enforced and if people are mindful of it. In the first year after the law the hands-free law took effect in 2008, we saw a 20% drop in fatalities statewide, 700 fewer deaths on the highways, similar 20% drop in collisions, and all those numbers were borne out by a subsequent scientific study from the Institute for Transportation Safety and UC Berkeley, so on and so forth. The three things you need to make any driving campaign successful: seat belts, drunk driving, distracted driving, public awareness, meaningful enforcement, and significant fines. One of the challenges with the hands-free law and the texting law is that the fines are relatively modest, because when I was initially pursuing this, that was necessary to get people to give it a try. I could not get Governor Brown later on to increase the fine. He had a thing about that. So I can't do anything about that there, because we're down here, we're not up there, such is life. But there are two things we could do. One is the public awareness piece, hence Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Same month as the state and the nation do this, but from the blank looks on your faces, I'm guessing it wasn't exactly top of mind that it was coming up. And
but it's important.
That wasn't a...
I celebrate that every
year. I'll take that.
But now we know our intents is...
Yeah. I believe the bus says malarkey on the side, but I'll let it go by. And the other thing we can do is step up enforcement. So just like some of you will remember the Avoid the 13 campaigns or drunk driving enforcement or whatever. So we're going to try and do all that in April, and I'm trying to engage the 15 cities and towns to do this as a way to both sort of re-engage people, and make sure they're top of mind when they're driving, that this is in fact against the law, get a little enforcement help from our public safety departments, sheriffs, police departments. I'm scheduled to meet, I think, next week, Brian, with the police folks in the morning. And
county chiefs? Or, I mean, all the chiefs.
Yeah, all the chiefs. Yeah. And the CHP is part of that as well. And so we're going to try and make a thing of it. We'll ask you all to do resolutions, again, just for a little visibility. We'll try and get some press around it. Happy to include and indeed highlight anybody who wants to be highlighted. And the last thing I'll say, because I know time is tight and we have elected officials here, is distracted driving laws are actually extraordinarily popular, which I did not know when I was working on them. I had a passion for it, and people kind of rolled their eyes. This is now like 20 years ago. But in 2011, I had reason to do some polling in Santa Clara County and ask people, what do you think about hands-free? And people's reaction was like 92-93% favorable, which across all demographics, all ideologies, all parties. And I thought, well, they probably think, yeah, that's fine, but it's no big deal. And then you said, well, is it important or not? And 88% said it was important. I mean, people saw it as a thing that put their lives at risk and so on.
I'm trying to figure out who the 8% is that didn't think it was important.
Well, I think there. When I started on it, there were initially folks who kind of thought, is this really a thing? And then as people were losing their lives, they discovered it really was a thing. So we'll ask you all to adopt resolutions, send letters to the editor, be parts of public efforts. We're going to do a telephone town hall. We'll tell you about that. We'll advertise, so on and so forth. Moving quickly to the next item, in May of 2020, we are doing Keep It Clean Santa Clara County, a clever title that was made up entirely by me, and so it is what it is. For as many years as I've been in public service, and every job I've been in, I have heard from complaints from people in the community about why are our streets so dirty. Mm-hmm. And I tend to think actually they're mostly thinking about interchanges, frankly, which is where I think the problem is often the worst. Part of the challenge, of course, is that we've got state highways, county expressways, city streets. You got multiplicity of jurisdictions. You got lots of different reasons for the problem, including 18 to 35-year-old men who are like the worst on litter, according to the studies in the field. But also, garbage haulers who don't tarp their stuff properly, lax enforcement because people understandably have other priorities, so on and so forth. So what we want to try and do during this month of May is, again, try to do some public awareness work in this area and see if we can line up some communications, but also actually go out and do cleanups. So I'm picturing in my mind's eye in that yellow vest, Chappie, that I've promised everybody we can get them with a trash picker up, and so far your enthusiasm is overwhelming. But again, it's largely our thing, and we'll try and cooperate. And San Jose, I know, has the Don't Trash San Jose campaign, and every community handles this a little bit differently, but again, some concerted focus for 30 days, and the hope was we could actually clean the place up a little bit and maybe sort of lay down a new foundation for cleanliness going forward, and also maybe even identify some best practices. So I can't be there at your next meeting, unfortunately. Now that you've heard all this, you're probably thinking, fortunately, but we'll send, with your permission, Brian, and I think you're going to come with Chris, yes?
I believe Chris, maybe Candace, because she's actually more in charge
Got
of
it.
one
But
or two of those.
on both of these, because we've got different staff, and it's mostly just to sort of engage you, ask for your support, participation, and, every one of our 15 cities is a sovereign nation unto itself, and I respect that. So, the end.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
Shall I go away? Andy, go ahead.
You're welcome to stay. Do you,
If
anybody have any
you want to
questions?
spend your Friday night here, you're welcome.
I think you have something art-like to
That's
go
right.
to.
I saw that post.
Good.
Oh.
I saw you're sponsoring a lot more posts.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Hi, Margaret.
Hi.
How are you,
Mr.
madam? Nice
Supervisor.
to see you.
Apologies.
Good. All right. Well, then we'll leave you. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet you,
very much.
Brian.
Good to
Nice
see
to
you
meet you
all.
all too.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, thanks.
You'll see me again in like a week.
Okay, good. So we have quorum. Thank you, Margaret. Go ahead and do the roll call, Andy, or
I've got it.
For the
Oh, I guess I do need to say
the
it for the
record.
tape. So Larry Klein is here, Kent Steffens is here, Margaret Abacoga, Nisa Flagor, Chappie Jones, and Andy Jordan.
okay,
It
great.
is 5:10
And-
p.m.
We will now do consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any changes, comments on the consent agenda? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion to second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed? Great. Passes unanimously. Next up, old business. First up, discussion of the board directors' priority setting and establishing committees.
So I think it is in your packet, but I also have it printed here for you as well, so that you can see where the tallies were. And Chappie voted, and Mariko did vote. They sent me their the items that they wanted to vote on. So all 15 cities are included.
Oh, okay.
And so I think what we did last year was we did combine some of them. So there was like a topic of housing, and then left legislation with the legislation committee.
Right.
I think the ones that we may. Well, we have. Which one is it? Public safety. I'm not really sure.
I don't remember why that was even there, but I guess it was looking at public safety in general, and we'll let
Pretty
that
broad,
group.
though.
It is.
let the
Go.
group that wants to join, and we'll see if we have enough.
And then how is that different than fire? Well,
I can
because-
see a real difference. I think what
And I'll
or
tell
health
you-
and safety.
So some residents in Los Altos had approached us. We had our retreat this week for a priority setting. And some residents were pushing for Los Altos to make public safety emergency workers housing a priority, and there weren't enough votes for that for this year. But then I talked with them after, and it's the Los Altos business community, so they wanted to know whether or not I could reach out to neighboring cities and maybe figure out a regional like a regional solution, because you've heard Summidian say many times, if there's an earthquake or a big disaster, the safest place to be will be Tracy, because that's where all our emergency workers are. So that's something I'm going to throw out. I think it would be great if we do it at this level, if there's a way to do it at the Cities Association with all the 15 cities, figuring out if there's a way for us to do any kind of housing for public safety, emergency, and disaster workers here in our area, so we keep them here. Yeah, go ahead.
Wouldn't that be part of the planning collaborative? Can we build that into the collaborative? The planning collaborative?
Housing collaborative.
We can move it up
Or
there, but when
the-
you said public safety being so broad,
Yeah.
that's a narrow focus that just was brought to me this week. But I agree, it would be
Okay.
better in the housing collaborative.
You know, the Cities Association had that presentation on the shared equity model and
Right.
that applied to, you know, public employees, including, I think, teachers and public safety
BTA is
workers.
looking
and
at that.
It is, there's a lot of attention to it. I think there is an existing program. We had somebody, and I don't know if it's the county or a nonprofit group, came and presented it to our staff that were interested.
There's a group called Landed
Right.
that's working with the teachers in the high school, actually, not in Los Altos High School.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Landed, and they
Landed.
came a couple of years ago to our event in May.
Oh,
And so I have contact info, so let's
Yeah.
I'll forward that on to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's they're useful. It's been a while. I talked to them after that event, and they were still, I don't know. I couldn't connect. I didn't seem like there was enough focus to move forward at that time. Maybe
Right.
things are changed now.
There's
Um,
only one vote for the planning collaborative. I can
Yeah.
make it two. and I will lead. I'm happy to lead that effort.
And that
I'm
was
happy
me,
to-
just because I was principal.
Oh, wow.
Since I led that effort.
Well, everybody
Figured I'd
did
give it a vote.
individual
How many were you allowed to vote for?
4.
Okay.
And it sure doesn't seem like we have enough.
Well, it's like if you do everything 3 and over, you end up with Caltrain electrification, ADUs, reliable grid. Why was that 2 and then total of 7? I didn't understand.
Well,
that.
disaster prep shut off down below. Oh, sorry, 7, because I didn't remove that total of 7, because disaster prep for shut off, I don't know who
So
added.
it was split.
So,
There was
yeah.
2 ideas,
Oh.
2 different ideas. One got
Oh.
7, one got none.
Yep.
Okay. So, disaster prep for shutoffs, gun safety, regional minimum wage, public safety. Still surprised, and that's it.
And there was a lot of people who must not have voted, because that is not enough.
No, that's not enough votes.
And I have they're on my wallet at home.
Don't worry about it. So I think we end up with, and keep in mind, certain people that will be at this meeting were not there last month because things were still being decided amongst different councils. I think we just put the top ones here. What was left over from last year? Do you remember? Did we actually carry any of those through?
Well, I mean, transportation was on the list from last year and then we also had housing, and we had fire suppression, which we tried to work with we were going to work with the county fire, but then it became too busy, and I think about the time that we were supposed to meet with them, the fires started.
So we should
And the shut-offs, and they were like, you know what, we're going to have to wait.
we should try to bring fire back, just to bring it back, even though it's not a listed thing here. And they were just going to come and
Well, it
present,
is-
right?
It's listed, it just got 2 votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more they were going to come and present, but there are some coordination effort that the fire districts wanted to work on that were cross jurisdictional. But I think folks were interested in evacuation plans. Last year they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did regionalization many years ago, but we actually, frankly, had some issues with our neighbor on that, and so
Oh.
we dropped it.
Oh, okay.
So we end up with this list, and then
Do you want this entire list to go to the
no. Just the ones I talked about. It's like all the ones with 1. You know, conceivably we merge and push to the very bottom if we even keep them at all. But you end up with Caltrain, conceivably, I think there needs to be some sort of transportation other than Caltrain.
Yes.
Just because this is the transportation. It's always transportation and housing. So I'd be happy to keep alternate transportation alive. I wouldn't bother with VTA, even though alternate transportation didn't even get a vote. EV charging stations, I think they still have that, that group. There's still things that we could be done with SVCE through with ChargePoint or whatever to bring in. So as much as the numbers aren't completely, we'll figure out, to a certain degree, which ones to kind of keep through, because I can't see keeping. What were the things that, this is everything that was listed, and some of them just didn't have votes, right?
Well, remember, we're already in February.
I know.
And we get,
We only have 10 more meetings, or 9 more meetings.
9 more meetings.
Yes. So to have have these groups actually do anything is...
Yeah, I think if we just, bid off the top, 4 and above, or 5 and above.
3 and above. We'll throw gun safety in there because it's kind of a different sort of thing.
Okay.
I like adding that because if nothing else, there's the North County gun buyback that's happening at the end of this month, and it'd be important for us to mention that at the meeting.
Okay. I'm just a big believer that, try to stay focused and...
Yeah, but the problem is we end up with all these groups, and if none of them if only 1 or 2 of them do work, it's like at least if I think that's one of the big thing about having subcommittees. You always have that other thing. It's like, look, we kicked off
no expectations.
10 subcommittees.
We have 10 subjects. One of them somebody might actually do something.
I'm just looking at past record. Many of the subcommittees never presented anything by the end of the year.
What is the George W. Bush, the soft bigotry of low expectations?
I didn't hear that.
Gotcha. Yes.
No,
but there's that too. But but to a certain degree, it's like giving them the options.
Right.
And because the people in the room are the ones who will
And they
say,
have to be excited about
right?
it.
They don't care about the product. It's like
They're not going to do the work.
it'll self-reduce Thursday night. Don't worry about that. I think that's the case.
So why don't we leave transportation?
Okay.
We highlight electrification,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then, it's always
Planning. We can do the planning collaborative if we have.
Well, we just do housing, and we leave homelessness and ADUs with that. The plan.
Yeah, that's good.
And of course, the planning collaborative, because we're
That's
starting
really a
it.
gimme.
Yeah.
I probably wasted a vote there.
Would you like to throw a vote somewhere else?
For something that has a
Yeah.
that you want to move up.
Okay, so we've got transportation then,
Right.
housing,
Mhm.
and
Reliable grid.
okay.
I'm going to throw my planning collaborative 1 vote to regional minimum wage.
I thought
Well, that one
doesn't.
we already
Well,
have. We don't
that
need
has
that.
7. You don't need
We don't
another
need
vote.
that.
It's already on there.
Put it on a
You guys, what's the pressure?
I know.
Pressure.
No, you can't pile on to that
Choice
one.
voting.
I think you already did. I thought you already gave that one too.
Yeah, I was going one more.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do reliable grid then.
Yes.
We're gonna okay. Okay.
And then public safety. Regional minimum wage and public safety.
Wait, didn't you say gun safety too, or you're putting that under public safety?
Gun safety is there also. It's a 3 and above. It should be.
Its own.
It should be its own because they are distinct, and I don't know what the goals for public safety are.
Okay, well,
We'll let that group decide, and that's part of this effort.
fine
That
with
it's
it.
like
well, since I
Yeah.
succumbed to peer pressure, I'm going to take that 1 vote and move it from planning collaborative to the 5G. To
okay,
give it 3.
sure,
Oh, geez.
that's good.
But what do you
Yeah,
think 5G
5G,
means?
yeah.
Because I can tell you what the other 2 votes meant.
I know. Well, for me, it means that all the grief I get from my community about 5G small cell deployment in the neighborhoods.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Well, just
And it's not just- it's
have
just not-
Anna come in to talk, and that's all we need. Is what's her bill's going to do to save us local cities.
Well, that'll be
and change the
interesting.
FCC. That's what it comes down to.
But it's not just the San Jose or Silicon Valley. I mean, I go to the
It's an
National
issue
League of
for everybody.
Cities, and it's like everywhere.
Yep.
Am I going
It's
to be
a
able to
national-
use my cell phone?
Can you use it now? Do you
Not,
really
Los,
need
not
to?
Los Altos.
Yeah. Never mind. We won't talk about
We're
that.
being
Yes, I've heard
sued.
that.
I can tell you this: you get more radio frequency emissions from your cell phone
But
than you do
you're getting
from
a food hall.
small cell.
I know.
I know. It was big news
I
yesterday.
know.
I've
that.
had people yelling at me as they have their phone to their head,
Yeah, and you're like,
talking about they don't want a small cell.
it's like, I know.
I get it.
You're like, what?
Do the kids have them? The kids have phones?
How dare you understand the science?
Right. Details.
And you can keep that recorded.
Okay,
too.
all right, and then I will bring this next week, and then we'll have so that people can sign up. Do you want me to send out a survey so people can sign up before next week? That might be good.
Yeah, it's always good.
Okay. All right. Let's see if I can remember. Okay.
Who's that?
Let's try. Yeah.
Are you ready to go on to the
Sorry.
next one?
Sorry, distracted by city issues. Okay,
Oh.
next item.
So the planning collaborative, that is the next item, and I've given everybody, Margaret, you need one of these. And I also emailed it to everyone. Do you have one? Right there, that's yours. And I'll look at yours. Look at it on my computer. This is the contract that the city of Palo Alto has reviewed it, as well as Kent looked at it early on. The contract with the, and then if you flip through it, there's a scope of work. So the biggest difference is that the person that I have been working with announced their retirement. And the person that will replace him is somebody who is is Vubang Nguyen, who used to be with the Community Foundation. And so he will be the point person for us now. They do not believe, they now are saying $50,000 will not work for the year. And
They have to figure out how to make it work. For the year.
well, if we could expand the meetings out longer, but they think that it would probably be more beneficial for us to work through the end of the fiscal year, because that also may be the timeline that we could receive some LEAP or REAP funds as well to continue. Also, based on the SCAPO meeting I attended, it would be, I think, beneficial if we try to figure out how to and what we're going to need.
Right.
They also, Baird and Driscoll also thinks that we may be able to receive some funds for the planning collaborative through a grant with the Community Foundation. So they said that if we can, I need to go back to them if we want to try to drag the 50,000 through the year.
Yes, that's what I want to plan this. That 50,000 is what we have to work with, and if we receive grant funding, then we can totally change the scope of work and the timeline. But
so, and the other point that I'm starting to receive a little kind of urgency from some of our smaller cities that they need more now because of it's going to take so long, and they want to be able to figure out what the collaborative is going to be able to give us or do versus what they're going to have to contract on their own.
Right.
And so if we do the 50,000 through the full year, it will be every other month at best, or maybe quarterly.
or front load some of it and then space out quarterly.
So you can see on the, I don't
Because
have,
it's monthly, it's broken, but
Yeah.
you're right, we can front load the scope. Yeah. If they have the bandwidth. We give them the deadline by whatever, June, that we need all these things done by June.
I think we can do that.
And so today they had the ABAC Special Assembly meeting,
Yeah.
and they talked about LEAP and REAP, and Liz read the letter
Yeah.
about maybe pooling resources. And so for the LEAP funds, the application is due by June for each city. Then the REAP funds, it's ABAG that will allocate them to the different cities, and they're holding back $3.45 million to provide staff and consulting work to cities, and they're going to roll out what that really means. So they should also be providing.
So that is so the consultant did tell us that ABAG is trying to figure out what to do with the money, and they would
They
like to
announced it
keep
today.
the money.
Yes,
and
they announced it today. Yeah.
so I was watching when Liz read the letter, and I could see that it didn't look favorable on staff's face that we were asking for this. We did.
He said he would consider it. The chair said, "We'll consider that. That's different."
But the legislation says, the statute says that we qualify.
right.
But it appears
Staff doesn't.
that staff doesn't want, they want to control it. So
They definitely gave the impression that it wasn't automatic because I think he said we'll consider it.
So, interesting. Well, I mean, it may be fine. So,
Yeah.
okay, so I will go back to Barrett and Driscoll and say drag it out for the whole calendar year.
So can they help
Right.
us apply for the grants? Is that
They can help us work on it, but if we're going to be,
I mean, it will go the whole calendar year, but we don't necessarily have to. Again, we can front load those hours early on, or the majority of the hours early on, and then have follow up meetings for any kind of cleanup or follow up items.
okay. Well, the front loading is, so in the meetings, kind of the scope of what they'd be doing, they would be identifying, they'd be spending time with, they were going to create a committee of staff to kind of try to figure out and identify what it is that everyone needs to work on right away. We know that ADUs is one of them.
Right.
And then RENA, that was the request that I'm getting from some of the smaller cities, was that we need to be working on the RENA methodology, and that work.
No, they. Like what work regarding the methodology?
Well, I just received a message that they want somebody advising us of what's happening.
Okay.
So
Isn't that your committee?
It is, and nothing will come out until the summer. Like right now, we're just still working on the factors that they will use to determine the methodology. So
Okay.
there's nothing that cities need to do today. But regarding updates from HMC, that's something you and I can definitely do. Just
Okay.
send out emails. This is what happened. No decisions have
Okay.
been made yet, and they will ask for feedback from each of the cities once they decide on the proposed factors. Like one of the proposed factors is past performance, and there is general consensus for that. A lot of people want that to be one of the factors considered.
hold on here.
I mean, they'll need help with the housing element, updating their housing element.
So one of the questions I have was, shouldn't we be weighing in, but through you? And I think that their idea is that the consultants should be helping our representatives weigh in before, because isn't the draft coming out in May?
So they just canceled our meeting next month because they want to reconcile it with Plan Bay Area 2050. So they pushed things out by a couple of months. But we're still on schedule. It's not due till spring 2021. But we should get our RENA numbers from HCD in April. So that was the big announcement. So we'll get the big number in April.
The really big number.
The really, really big number.
Oh, and then that will give an idea of how big.
Yeah.
Right.
But April of 21, right? Not 20.
Okay.
No.
20?
This month. This year.
okay.
Because LA County already received their number. The big number.
Yeah.
Not the allocation that ABAG will do for each
Oh, the
jurisdiction.
Bay Area wide number, not the
The
city
9
number.
county, right.
Okay, yeah.
So
Okay.
going back to this document and the consultant. So how do we? I haven't read this.
It's
The scope of work. We have an ongoing task every month. Oh, okay. You have February tasks. And the tasks that you have in February and March, in April, May, June, July, are all these based on the input that we've gotten from the cities?
No,
Or is this
because we
from the
don't have it.
consultant?
That's from the consultant. We don't have the input from the cities yet.
Okay.
And
The
they-
students are just now starting to get
Mhm.
that input.
So Andy, if I remember right, the scope was essentially, to research topics cities were interested in, and then to support or facilitate 6 meetings.
Correct.
And so, you could hold meetings earlier, once a month for 3 or 4 months, and then see if we get grant funds, you could continue. If you don't get grant funds, then then it's like you can't continue monthly meetings.
Yeah.
Or you may need an initial meeting and then give them time to research the topics that cities are most interested in. But I think that's what was talking about front loading. It does not
Yeah.
have to be a consistent monthly
Sure.
or bi-monthly or quarterly. You could vary it based on whether grant funds come in.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just research work? Because when I first heard about this, I thought they would be doing, helping with the applications, like doing some of the updating of our housing element and whatever we need to do.
Well, they can do that as well. They can do things from, like right now, cities are scrambling to comply with all of
The new laws.
the new laws.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
they can give
Analyze them for us.
That's real.
they'll analyze those, and they also come up. They said if you go to San Mateo County, you'll notice that a lot of their ordinance and their planning all look very similar because
They'll do model.
they'll do a model ordinance, and then everyone can change them as a. That's a lot of what they do, but then they're doing a lot of ongoing work right now. ADUs, they said, is a big one, and they have an hour that they have the call every week where everyone calls in. At Scapa last week, when I arrived, they were discussing ADUs, and in the room there were, I thought 8, but it turned out there were 10 different opinions of what the laws meant and how they were interpreting them, and it was quite a debate. So that is something that having the technical person there to help guide that conversation and help, they will be the expert on the issue. But what some of the smaller cities that I've heard from are concerned about is getting moving on what they need to do for the housing element,
Yeah, that's
and because people are going to need to rezone. Because the numbers are going to be so large, and so helping with that process. And that's actually when we started talking to San Mateo County last year when we were working on the sub-region. When San Mateo when they started backing out of having a sub-region, they said that they're just going to double down their efforts on the housing element and getting ready to rezone because they know the numbers are going to be so large. So okay, I hear you. A couple of meetings at the beginning, and then
I can afford.
yeah,
right. Like, basically, the first
Yep.
1 or 2 meetings. These are the new laws. Based on these new laws, these are the 10 things you're going to need to do this year. And then this is how we can help you. And to the extent they can come up with model ordinances or resolutions or templates that we can feed to our cities, like that's the kind of work I would expect.
So does that sound?
And be available to help our planning
Yeah.
staff. Like if Los Altos or Mountain View needs some, hands-on help.
Well, I think that will be a little bit harder with the restricted funds because
Because certain cities will say, I need a full-time staffer. Come sit in my office.
No,
for the
they
next
won't do
week."
that.
For the $5,000 investment.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
There's not that many hours.
they do.
There's people in that
Well,
relation.
but the thing is, if they're so good, like let's say they do the templates or model ordinances for us and we're impressed. When we get our grant funding directly from the state, we could pay them directly.
So they do.
You could
So,
hire 'em off.
yeah,
True.
so they do the contracts they do in San Mateo County are a little different. They are paid directly from each city, and they have there's a menu of options that they offer.
Scale it.
So a city can decide, yes, I want to use you for more, and I have this many of call time with you. We decided not to do that yet, but that is an option that I told them I was fine with. But just because we were doing it a little differently, we decided to start with this. But if you think the cities would prefer the other, we can.
I think this is a great way to start.
Yeah, because you'd need agreements with the individual cities. So if the cities are on the hook to pay the bill, they have to know what's the limit, and they have to go through their own purchasing and contracting sort of.
And it makes it a little. The consultant was very happy that just one person was paying the bill instead of.
So are they
15.
very clear? Again, I don't know if it's written in here. Is it clear that who they get their direction from? Because one of the things that would drive me crazy is if we get a bill and it's because San Jose made a direct request for them to do additional work.
So it is in here that
I
the
used to have
executive
that.
director is the point person.
Right.
But I'm not doing it. It's clear in there now that I'm not doing the work, but I am doing coordination with helping them with the list of people and meeting locations and yes.
Yeah. Because I'm sure once they start, interviewing and talking to the individual cities, and they have that connection.
No,
I can guarantee you that individual cities will be calling them
So
directly.
in San Mateo County, they have the same kind of. They do have a point person in San Mateo County with their county and so they've put me in touch with that person already, so that I can kind of learn from them.
So you will be the point person. You're the contact and the contract and everything.
Yes.
Perfect.
So if it
For
doesn't,
better or for worse.
so if the direction doesn't come from you,
Right.
they can't bill us for it.
No.
Perfect.
Okay, that's well.
I would like to remind you, Andy, that you live in Los Altos.
We're not building there.
Based on past performance.
Maybe you need a co-signer. I think I need a co-signer.
Would San Jose like to say something about that? Maybe Mountain View?
Sunnyvale, yeah.
Yeah, have Larry be your co-signer.
There we go.
Okay.
So is that pretty?
I hear you. I understand.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Alright.
So we will try to rush through because I know all of you want to leave. Cities Association Santa Clara County 30th anniversary.
It's our 30th anniversary,
Right.
so I thought I would put it on there so we could. I don't know if you want to do anything about that, or
I think
maybe,
we just want to brand all of our events. So like the membership or the May event and the December event, highlighting this the 30th.
we may not want people to know we've been around 30
Yeah,
years.
hey. Actually, and we should get like Cindy or somebody from a county. Somebody from the county level should at least acknowledge
that we left them 30 years ago.
that we left them 30 years ago. So we said, forget about what the county's doing. The 15 cities want to band together
to fight.
to fight what they're doing. But I think it should be recognized somewhere at the county. So next time I talk to Cindy, I'll talk to some recognition should happen. Makes sense. But I think it's more of a branding sort of thing. Any social media, maybe we should think about changing the logo, tweaking the logo for correspondence for this year. Just adding 30th year or something off to the right or to the left of our standard logo. Think about it.
Okay.
I'll leave it up to you.
And if we can coordinate with Cindy, maybe the county can do a proclamation that we all show up
Yes.
at the board meeting.
Yeah. I think. Hey,
Celebrate that we left.
they represent all 15 of us. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, annual general membership event. I'm assuming you're talking about the May event.
The May event, and just wanted to make sure if anybody had any input on that they could share it with us. I have Larry indicated that he would prefer it to be kind of a legislative. I've put notices out to. I've called Bell's office as well as Hill's office, since this is their last year. Both of them have penciled it in.
Okay.
Wait, what's the date again?
It's the second Thursday in May,
Yeah.
and Sunnyvale's going to find us a fabulous location.
Yeah.
Or we'll be here.
We will be somewhere in our city. Yes.
We have some nice new venues.
We have some okay venues.
Not the 14th. Is it? That's our bocce. That's the Peninsula Division bocce.
On a Thursday?
Usually it's April.
Is that on your calendar?
No,
That's
it's
about the
May.
14th. Did you change that?
Why would they choose a day?
Yeah, usually it's end of April.
Oh yeah, it's League of Cities bocce. Same
Yeah, that's
night.
nice.
Wonderful.
Oh,
It's beautiful.
What are you guys doing for us?
Do we have flexibility to change it?
No.
It's our Thursday night meeting. It's been fixed. It's our standard Thursday board meeting that we're just
But
expanding.
the bocce's during the day, though.
no, it's
No, bocce is 6 p.m.
It is.
dinner and
Yeah.
It's
And
always end of April. Why did they move it? now?
Because it's no longer in Los Gatos, it's going to be at Filoli, and that was the time that was available.
Isn't Mariko in charge?
Yeah.
That was the funny thing. She's now chair. She's moving it out of her city.
That's kind of funny.
It is.
No, so we did discuss the history of the bocce. It really originated as a cities association event.
Really?
It was, yeah, and Joanne Benjamin gave me the whole lowdown of it, and then
Oh wow.
Be a joint event.
it was a joint
The league
event,
hijacked it?
and the league hijacked it for their PAC event, and so Joanne got tired of fighting with them, so she just backed off and said, "Take it." But
We'll just have
so
bocce.
they couldn't
We'll
figure
just
out.
merge the two events
Right.
But they
at
could.
Filoli and say everybody come to Filoli. Jerry Hill and
That's actually a
and
good idea.
Gary will be there.
That's actually
But
a really good
wait a
idea.
minute! But a Santa Clara County event
Okay.
in
San
San Mateo.
San Mateo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Dang, why you got?
I know.
Such a good
Why you got
idea.
like cracks?
I was joking.
Why you got like cracks?
He was joking.
That's a great idea. Jeez, just totally ruined it.
Yeah, because people get bored with bocce after a little bit, or people get bored with the speeches from the politicians. So they can just toggle between the
Alcohol
two.
in there, perfect.
Yes.
So what are we gonna do?
Somebody needs to reach out because
But we've been already advertising this. I don't know if we can change it. Right, Chappie?
We
Back
can.
me up here.
You can
Well, I mean,
change
this is
it.
in May.
Yeah.
Unless you already played it, you put a deposit down, then it might be.
and even then, Filoli's pretty nice about move as long as there's the dates open.
We haven't.
Yeah.
They're happy to move things
We'll have
around.
Larry work it out with Marika.
I have friends at Filoli, so if that's
there you go.
needed. So, but I'll talk. Mariko and I. So next Thursday, I will not be at the meeting because we have our Measure B going to districts ballot measure event that the League of Women Voters are
Yep.
running. That I need to be there as mayor because one of our other council members is doing the opposing, and so I need to represent our
really?
council opinion. Yes. So Mariko and I are meeting on Tuesday anyway. I will bring this up. I'll bring it up before then, but we'll see. Something has to move because, or we just run both events and whoever shows up where. It's amazing. I've tried to do the bocce event for the last 2 years, and something always ends up colliding with that event. Anyway, okay. And so next up, dues.
So it's in your packet, and I'm sorry, it looks like I added a document twice and didn't realize it when I merged it. But we received, this is I think the second request from Los Altos Hills, that we review our dues. And anyway, I think it's a fair request to review our dues. I don't know the last time when they've been reviewed. I saw that maybe in 2010 or 11 or 12 they had reviewed the dues, but the only thing they did was I think they held the dues flat for 5 years. I can't find any records of how the dues levels were created, but all I can see from all the documents that I have that they've increased it based on a percentage point. If you look at I think, is it in here?
Yeah, I got it here.
I included what our dues were for 19 and 20. Los Altos Hills wasn't. They indicated that they would like our budget and the due structure on their bill, and that was included on their bill. I think they just missed it. It was an attachment. But populations have changed. So the question is for the executive board is, would you like to have the due structure reviewed, or would you like to review it? Los Altos Hills was specific in that they would like the dues structure to be based on population. And I did discuss with them that what that might mean. Didn't know if they wanted to vote based on population, representational voting or not. So that is a
That
question.
means Chappie's going to sign up to do 10 times Sunnyvale.
You get 10 votes every time you vote.
I'm okay. You know, $6,000 or $7,000 is not a huge amount, but apparently it's a big deal for Los Altos Hills.
Well, Los Altos Hills is 3,800, sorry, it's 7,000 now.
But is this a flat amount for all of the cities?
No,
Yeah.
so
No.
there is
So-
small cities.
So
here, I have it here.
Core grouping.
actually, just plug in.
Here it is.
Actually,
Sorry,
pass
I do
me,
have-
pass me the projection.
Yeah, safety.
I can project up there.
Oh, here, I can,
Or you can project up there. It actually makes it easier, right?
and you.
If it's,
Here you go.
if there's anything.
So on one side is a Peninsula Division dues from 2017 because that's what I had. That's wrong.
I'm just waiting. It's thinking.
Oh, hold on.
Or,
Is that your screen?
Some
No.
of it's proportional.
no,
It's not
tried and just
flat
gave up.
amount.
No, there's 4 tiers.
Right.
But they,
That's
they
it.
can make the point though that their dues are about half of San Jose's,
Right.
even though the population ratio
So,
is.
what would be useful here, Andy,
I mean, the fact that it's an issue.
Right.
is
You know, I don't wanna-
split this up. You know, split it up into these large, medium, small, very small cities, and then just put a population number next to them so we can actually do a direct comparison.
So
And tell them that we'll review them next month, or you did you do that?
Well, I do have another on the back side of this piece of paper has the 2017 dues
that?
for the league. It's not in there.
Oh,
I just
okay.
found this today.
Oh, okay.
But this was a population. But yeah, I can do that. I can sort it. I'll make a different list and
Right.
sort it based on population. So, I think what we ended up doing for the round table was San Jose had its own. We just called them San Jose, and then everybody else was on the same level, and we did it per population. But we discounted San Jose's by
A tenth or
a
Something like
fifth or something
Yeah.
because it
How much does Los Altos Hills want to pay?
nothing.
Like zero?
Like zero. They actually asked also if they could still attend the meetings and be an associate member, and I said we don't have an associate member status, and they said well we don't have to vote, and I said well then you wouldn't sit at the table.
Well, couldn't we
I
just
Well, yeah,
charge them the
yeah,
2017, 2018 dues and move the
Well,
difference
but
up
they're-
to San Jose?
But so then are we gonna do? Are we? So then are we gonna do it for Montessorino then too?
Exactly. But Andy, is
Yeah.
Michelle
sure, why
Wu's
not?
letter on behalf of her full council?
that is a question.
Because I mean, we both know George Tyson, and
I think. Well, I also will let you know that their city manager had he was recommending to their council that they not join, and then they asked if they were going to, and then they assigned the task to a management analyst, and they requested all of our founding documents. This year, they wanted to look through the history of the association. They wanted to see the due structure. They wanted to review everything, and then I just kept pointing to the bylaws, saying, and then I also pointed to the minutes of the meeting that Michelle voted for it, and that none of these questions. I said there is opportunities to raise these questions when we discuss the dues,
The dues for
and when we approve the budget, and so then because they read the bylaws, then they put it on consent agenda and they sent us a check. But I did ask Rania, and Rania says that she's always had to pepper Los Altos Hills about paying, and I have since I've been here as well.
Can we put them on a layaway plan?
Los Altos.
Well, if they don't want to participate, if they don't have to. And then they said they still, of course, that by law they were a part of the city selection committee, and we could charge them for their portion of a. I did say to him, I said, the city selection committee isn't free either because we hired. You have to hire somebody to do the minutes and I said there was a reason for all of this, and. I did ask what their average FTE was because I told them that our FTE average was, I'm sure, much lower than their average.
Yeah.
As part of it, she's complaining about the cost, but also claiming that we serve no purpose.
Right,
and we're
no
not
value.
effective.
Right.
So there's an issue.
With two different arguments.
Exactly.
Right.
If we don't serve any value to them, then they shouldn't.
Then
Don't join.
Then don't join. It's like,
Join.
okay, you don't have to be here. We can do the city, the 14 cities.
Yes.
Yeah. But if it's a question of they feel that the dues are
Right.
too high.
Well, it's like, okay, do you want help with arena? All these things that are like
that's
part
our
of our
value.
organization.
Right.
It's
Or
just also
actions.
interesting is that I've
Which they
never.
didn't sign up for
If
that
we
either.
open that up and discount them, then Montessorino will want the
Yes.
same
Yes.
We
thing.
would have to. Yeah.
And I haven't.
And that's the whole thing. It would help me if I, start looking at this from a population standpoint.
So San Jose, $1 million.
Yeah,
Sunnyvale.
I'm more looking
Yeah.
at moving up from the bottom up.
Okay.
Well, Monte Serena's like 2,500, right? Los Altos Hills is 7,500.
We have the population on the
Montessorino's
sheet on
4,000.
Oh, there is?
You have it, Andy. You have it right here.
On the other side, their
Yeah.
populations.
Oh.
She does.
And this is from.
No, that's
But
good
this
enough.
is from a bill that
This
I
is the
grabbed
league.
from the League of California
Per
Cities.
per 1,000
Yeah.
residents or something. It varies much more.
Okay.
I mean, what's your population now? For,
155.
yeah, so these are a little low, and I don't know what San Jose's is.
But I could see,
But it's close, right?
yeah.
Actually, I thought Monte Sereno was going
Yeah.
down. Actually,
Oh, it might be. So this is a 2017 list that the league used.
But where's the compassion, you guys? Those Altos Hills is suffering.
Hey,
because they have one acre minimum lot size.
where's the empathy?
So, yeah.
I know.
You know,
And they
They're-
get a
they're
lower
hurting.
Reno allocation because
Right.
they're a natural hazard area.
Yes, exactly.
And they don't
Um,
have transit.
Well, how do we close out? Well,
So
I don't
what
watch
would
this
you?
thing.
So what would you guys like to do? Would you like to take the? We could take the question to the board. Would you like to review it, or would you guys just like it reviewed when we do the budget?
I say when we,
When we do the
Yeah.
do
budget.
the budget.
Okay.
And
And I don't want you, spending a lot of your staff time on these,
Right.
going down this
Yep.
rabbit hole.
Right.
I would make a suggestion that, say, the board's willing to review it, you should make a specific proposal. Just saying,
Okay.
will you review it? It's like, what are you asking for?
Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing
Actually,
would be
good
to
thing.
keep it revenue neutral, right? In theory, if they go down, somebody else has to go up.
Yeah.
Your expenses don't change.
Yeah.
Right.
So okay, that's fair. Thank you.
Or we just, keep them at where they are and increase the others.
She's trying to have more money next year.
To be proportional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
I don't necessarily think we should lower their amount.
but I think let's bring it back. But yeah, do the
Right, it has
request.
to be a formula that we can use in the coming
Right.
years.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. It's like we should have this number or this very small should have a very set threshold that immediately said, oh, this is why it's 10% of our total budget. It's 15% of or
Yes.
something of that nature times the number of cities. So it's a very easy formula. It's like, okay, here's our total budget and here's what everybody's contribution is.
Yes.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I think we ended up with some number some time ago, and then we just increased by a percentage, and
You want to do zero-based
And
budgeting.
I gave when they were billed, they were given that information, and they were also. I did remind them of how many times that I had communicated. I communicated with the city managers. I emailed with the city managers immediately when the budget was approved, telling
Yeah.
them the bill was coming. So that's how I
you've
communicate.
done nothing wrong with you.
So I'll
You've
tell.
done
No.
fantastic.
I know. I just want you to know that I have communicated with them. I know that I've done it. So.
So I take it you guys don't like the idea of an interest-free payment plan? That we could put them on?
Yeah.
I don't think paying is the issue.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think they have a good amount of property taxes
Yeah.
there for the number of.
I know, but I was just thinking psychologically, if we say, oh, we can give you a payment plan, then they'll go, oh, we'll just give you a write you a check. Just out of pride.
Yeah, maybe.
Some element of pride. Yes.
Well, I did ask them if they wanted a proportional vote to San Jose, and anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure that I know that answer.
Okay, we need to move.
Yep.
Okay, finally, discussion of agenda items. And so you wanted to display the
I am
letter.
Switch.
If we're out of time, I'm actually comfortable with the drafts.
Okay.
I just thought this was the process required.
No, it's
Okay.
we're okay.
I'm fine.
Unless
Okay.
anybody wants to see it, I can forward it to them.
Yes,
We can,
feel
for
Okay.
the
Perfect.
sake of their time,
Let
we're
me know
actually
by
going.
Thursday. Yes.
I decided not to go, basically because of this. Well, I've been in a meeting all day long.
Right. I thought I couldn't go.
That's fine.
No.
Hey, now you can go. Okay. Let us continue.
So, City Selection Committee, we do have one. Gilroy found someone for the RWRC, and
That's good.
they didn't know. I had asked them a few times if they didn't know that we actually had to approve it.
Ah,
So, anyway, so I'll just do that at. I think I'll make it 6:50 because it's just one. We don't have anybody for the.
6:55.
Okay.
I don't
Give us
think-
more time.
One person and
Approved.
yeah, because I think LAC is going to have some discussion just
Yeah.
what's happened with
yeah.
SB 50 and
Yeah. SB 50, the drafts, and then also the list of bills.
Oh yes, and I met with legislative staff last week, and so I do have some other lists. Valley Water would like to come to the
I saw
Ledge
that.
Committee.
Yep.
We have the transportation guiding principles as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
Um,
It's a full. We could use the 55 minutes.
uh-huh.
yes, I think
Okay.
you'll fill it up, no problem.
Um,
Goal setting and committee appointments.
so how long do you want for that discussion? 15 minutes?
Put 20 for now,
Okay.
just to explain it, and then it's just the logistics of getting everybody's name down. It takes a while to.
Well, I'll
do
try
the
to
roll
do. I'll try to do a survey beforehand so that people can respond to
Oh.
what they want. So then we.
call. Then do 15.
Okay.
If
It's just whether everybody responds.
Right, and
Okay.
it's fine. But as long as you already have the people that are doing the right thing and will respond it before you get to the meeting, will make things a lot easier. Committee reports, definitely will need LAC. Planning collaborative.
Just if everybody has an update or not.
I don't think we need it this
Okay.
month, right? No. Roundtable. You know better than I.
No, I don't think so. But we next month it would probably be good.
Okay.
Did I
Okay.
hear from Anita that basically we only have?
Well, that was the only reason that we might want to put it
Okay.
on was because
6 months.
Anita reported back that we only have 6 months
months.
funding,
Yeah.
but we only did that so that it could be put on a fiscal year basis, so that we were in line with everybody's budget process.
She didn't add that part.
No,
She just sounded the
so-
alarm.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's
Yeah,
why
I
I'm
don't
getting.
think you heard. Yeah.
They're
Okay.
getting you'll have a budget request in no time.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to know.
Interesting.
Um,
How much time for LAC?
2 minutes.
no,
Fine.
Because we're
probably.
gonna have
Are you gonna have?
most
10.
people attend our LAC
Yeah.
meeting. I noticed
It's
that.
a mix. It's a
Like the
mix.
same
Do 10
people.
minutes at least.
Okay.
They don't seem to. The guiding principles don't seem to. The transportation ones don't seem to be as
Okay.
Controversial. as the
controversial as a housing.
Yeah.
So I think that we'll be able to. Well, let's just. I would say 15 minutes for
Okay.
LAC.
I can do 15.
housing. Give it 15. I'm happy. Well, you need to update on. So the four.
That's
so your,
during the board meeting.
Your
I
four,
know.
Yeah,
your four
okay.
things from LAC are the principles.
You mean for the meeting? So the meeting, SB 50, a list of the pending bills, the proposed draft for housing, the proposed draft for transportation.
And are you going to take any recommendations on the current bills as far
No,
as
we're just going to go over them and then figure out, hear from the committee members whether or not they want us to go into more detail.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there will be a few, so if we decide to let Valley Water come, they're going to want
'Cause that was
action,
one
and
of
that's
them.
on the
That's
Anderson.
true.
That's on the Anderson Dam bill. I have a couple more that we might. So if we do decide to take action on a few, then we bring them to the board.
Full board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why I'm.
All right. It's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We're, almost, okay, we're doing the final thing. It's good.
So Larry, then I agree with you. If
Okay.
we're gonna have that discussion and vote, then we need more time.
Yeah.
So it's not just a quick update.
No.
Okay.
So 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll assume we'll hope that that's enough.
I agree.
Okay. Supervisor Smithian, we didn't actually ask how long he needs.
They told me 5 minutes. They said that.
But he then said he
Exactly.
wanted back and forth between the group.
But he won't be here.
I know. I know.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Give him at least 10 minutes.
Yes.
That's funny.
No, because he wanted some back and forth with the group of what support they were going to have and all that,
Okay.
or need to publicize that. Valley water ordinances.
So they've been asking for about 3 or 4 months to come and present. They want some updates on water ordinances, and they wanted to present.
That they're proposing, or that
they're proposing it.
They
yes.
want the cities to adopt.
They want
So
the
they're gonna
cities to
give-
adopt.
Okay.
And they said that could be 5 minutes.
Give them.
10.
There's no way that they can present a resolution and say go adopt it. No, they could. Here's the resolution. Adopt this, please.
Yeah,
Okay?
I don't think their presentation is going to flow that fast.
Yeah,
No.
probably.
I need
Oh.
Okay.
I have to get one in every week.
Yeah. Supportive housing.
On homelessness. And they have a plan to end homelessness by,
That's right, 20, 30 years.
yes. And I've seen one presentation. They did one at the city managers. You know, it was a good presentation, and I would recommend it at some point because it is one of our priorities. So it would be something that we want to collaborate with the county with.
So, county of supportive housing versus VTA. If we only choose one of
VTA.
those. Both of those sound like they're beefy items.
I asked VTA how much time they needed, and they didn't think that this is their follow-up from their report, and they said it wasn't.
The governance report.
No.
Pardon?
Governance.
Yeah, and
I don't think they have anything new.
Okay, then let's just so how much time? So supportive housing needs
15 minutes, 20 minutes. 15 probably.
okay.
And so you're saying no to VTA because
I would
they
say
have
no.
Well,
they're
they-
not going to present anything that they know.
But there was supposedly a good presentation or something. This is
No,
what
there
we're talking-
wasn't a good
Oh.
presentation, but when they came in the fall, the board asked them to come back
Oh, I see.
and present
The results.
and the results of it. But they've already Siri thinks I want to talk to her. The board wanted to hear the results, but they've already released the results, correct?
Yeah.
But we just didn't have them come last month because Chappie wasn't here, and they also had a conflict because they had a VTA meeting.
That's right.
So
It's good to educate the rest of the board if they haven't read it in the paper. But is it worth 10 minutes of a VTA staffer to come here to present? I think they'll get some pointed questions.
yeah, maybe so. But just in terms, if we have the time, then yes. But if it's a question of squeezing them in or trying to make the time, then I'd say we can defer that to a March meeting.
Yeah. I'm willing to defer.
Okay.
We're not saying no.
How much did we give supportive housing? 15?
We gave 20.
20? Okay. And then Carl Gardino asked to come and discuss faster or the bridge measure.
Carl himself?
Yes.
Interesting. Sure. Depending on how much time he wants. And I think we're at close to... No, we still got time.
Well, Carl doesn't do less than 10 minutes.
Oh, I know. That's
So-
at least 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah. Just so you know.
Yes, I know.
So that I have to put 20 down for that?
Yep.
Okay, and then the question was, I think this is what you meant. Did you want to leave time for discussion about any of these ABAG meetings or an update on the RENA methodology?
I think
Yeah,
I
I can
think it's
do the
important.
RENA methodology, and I think Liz can do the membership meetings. We're both
Okay.
here today,
and that's a good 20 minutes also, right? If not more.
especially because at least one member needs to better understand when and how they plug in.
Okay. 20, 40,
So we'll see. We'll see if
an
Carl.
hour.
So does Carl want to be here this month specifically, or did he say?
That's
just
what he
something?
asked
He
for.
retired. When's his-
August.
Anywhere between.
Oh, August.
He's got time. So we might end up. I think it's important to go through the RENA stuff while it's fresh in everybody's
Okay.
mind and still part
So
of
if there's not, so when I go back over, if there's not enough time, then I'll tell Carl he has to wait till the next month.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, and then there was, I had a message from Rod today, and that the Rex, do you remember the Rex is moving forward? It made it to the second round for MTC.
Oh,
Wait, what's that?
The Rex is the,
Connected transit.
yes.
yeah, so like we adopted the seamless idea and approach, but Rex is actually a plan. And they came in November
Yeah.
to the legislative committee and presented, but we didn't take any action to support it. But it may be worth supporting it. We could increase the ledge time a little bit and do it as a piece of the ledge because, well, or just bring a resolution forward to support it.
It should come forward from Ledge then.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So-
see if you can add it to the Ledge agenda. You have 55 minutes. Just cram it all the bills, SB 50, a new proposal. Okay, yes, no problem.
But
New
you gotta run a
principle.
tight
Ask,
meeting though.
I
You gotta
don't,
get
we
them
should
right.
ask Rod if he has a sample resolution. That always makes
I think they
sense.
do. I think they
Oh,
they
do
do,
one.
yes.
They do.
Perfect.
And,
And the-
our
That's
guiding
easier then.
principles, the transportation principles, were based on theirs.
Oh, perfect.
So it's pretty close, yeah.
Well, and it's also part of what we are already adopted with Seamless, I think. But it just we didn't say Rex.
Yeah.
It's the actual plan name.
Yeah.
So I think it would be helpful for them if we did adopt some sort of support for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
make sure, and we gave you 20 during the meeting, so that's useful.
Okay. Well, we'll make magic happen with that.
We'll figure out
And
the
then I'll-
schedule.
yeah.
You and I will
Add
figure
an
out the final
extra hour in
agenda.
there.
Okay.
Everybody's coming at 5.
No public comment. And Andy, director's
No
report.
joys and challenges.
Anything new?
Just the organizational status, not particularly good news. I reported to the board that our organizational status, that we had resolved it with the IRS, and about a month later, we received a phone call from the IRS saying, we didn't change anything. And we said, well, we have a very vague letter from you. And they said, we're reviewing it again. And they've reviewed it again, and they have decided that we are not a government affiliate. They don't know what we are, and they won't speak with our accountant. They've refused, and we're also working with Congresswoman Eshu's office has been helping us communicate with the IRS, and so the IRS has no record that they sent us the letter that we have. And so now we have another date to speak with them again, so that there's something called the IRS advocate that kind of is a go-between, that they're a member of the IRS that speaks to these two groups. And
So eventually,
So-
you think we'll have to be a JPA?
so I think we're going to have to, so
What is the San Mateo group? I mean, we're not the only one.
no, so everybody is a little bit different, but San Mateo is a congestion management company. Congestion management is what San Mateo is. And everybody is something a little different. We were just set up as we were established as a unincorporated association.
Yeah.
And
So we're a club.
but
We're club.
but according
We're just
to
surprised.
No wonder Michelle Wu is
Our club dues are too expensive.
but so we have
Where's the pool?
but we do have there is a piece of the IRS, because we don't exist without our funding from the government. And there is a piece of the IRS code that defines us, and that's what we keep showing them, saying this is what we are, because without the cities we are nothing. And but they are actually looking at a different piece of the code, and we keep trying to show them this code because it appears that the code has been that was established for groups like us. So I think that going forward, we're going to have to do something, and the accountant and I are talking again next week. But it looks like I think we're going to have to be like a JPA or something. We're also going to do the process of the. We're going to send them a letter defining everything again, and also answering all the questions that would be requesting the determination. And the determination letter is what would also deem us as a 501 something. I think. Do you remember what the determination letter?
No.
It's the determination letter was the second step that we had to do anyway. So we'll write the letter as the determination request.
And did you have a tax or IRS expert helping you?
Yes, we have an accountant that we did have an attorney at first, and now we have an accountant that was that we found through. He does all these kind of funny little things. So he's from Pismo Beach, but has done work with the attorney from Los Gatos.
Okay.
So not great.
No.
Not great at all. So
We're
sorry
gonna
about that.
have to increase our fees to
Yeah.
get back tax.
That's why I didn't want to lower the fee.
Okay. With that, we will adjourn the
6:15.
meeting at 6:13. Sorry, I tried. We still beat the agenda, but
Do you want to come to the event? Are you sure? I can get a seat.
I know I could
Okay.
have. I was offered a
Okay.
seat, and I'm like, I've been in a meeting all day long.
I just want to get there when they announce.
We've been in a
Michelle.
meeting.
Open.
Yeah.
I'm leaving if it's not Michelle. You know that.
No,
Oh, I think they announced.
Oh, who is it?
I don't know, but they announced. Oh, no.
Look on
Twitter. Who
Just look on Twitter.
Actually, let's
Let's
text
see.
too.